What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Pratt here, and this is Pin Dodgeball.
Yeah, we are in the place to be.
So as you know, I'm always bringing you accessible, modifiable, and engaging content for in the gym, at home, and in the classroom. Today I'm featuring another game in my Dodgeball series, and this game is called Pin Dodgeball. Pin Dodgeball is another way to make dodgeball safe, engaging, and more accessible to all students in a class and not just those elite athletes. As I've said in previous videos, which you can find linked in the description box below or on the playlist of my channel, I'm a supporter of dodgeball only when it's played properly, safely, and promotes engagement and enjoyment for all students in a class, not just a select few.
Alright, so as with most of my dodgeball modifications, the setup is quite simple, similar to a traditional dodgeball setup, but in this case, in pin dodgeball, there are 3 bowling pins close to the end line of each team's half of the playing field. The pylons at center indicate the midline, where the teams are not allowed to cross. Balls are lined up on the center line to start the game, and pins at the opposing team's side as well. Now you'll notice that the pin in the middle has a hula hoop around it. Sometimes I add this hula hoop as a barrier that students are not allowed inside, but that's a modification you're gonna have to choose depending on your context and how you wanna play the game.
Pin dodgeball is a combination of Dr. Dodgeball and an additional modification using the bowling pins. If you're not familiar with Dr. Dodgeball, it's quite a simple premise. Each team has 1 or 2 special doctors, and they're either wearing a pinny or are kept secret from the opposing team, and they are able to save down players. So if I'm hit by a ball and I have to sit down, a doctor on my team can simply come and tap my shoulder, and I am able to rejoin the game. This is a feature that I include within Pin Dodgeball as it reduces students' time being eliminated and keeps them up, active, and engaging. It also makes the strategy of the game more fun because adding in the doctors gives the opposing team a target to try and hit and gives team an opportunity to try and protect their doctors and work on some strategy within the gameplay. Now, aside from the doctors, everyone on my team has an important job. We are trying to protect our pins while also trying to contact the pins of the opposing team. The object of this game is to knock over all of the opposing team's pins. If you do that, you automatically win the game. Regardless of if your doctors are alive or how many of your teammates are down, if I was the only person left on my team and I knock over the final pin of the opposing team and they had their whole team still up, my team would still win the game. Okay? So that's the #1 way to win the game. Of course, eliminating another team's doctors and taking away their ability to save one another is of course going to help your team win as well. But the game doesn't end until those pins are contacted or the entire opposing team is eliminated. Now, when you're playing pin dodgeball, there is an added twist as well. Anytime one of my team's pins is contacted and down, my entire team is able to rejoin the game. So, while the other team is happy that they have knocked over our pin, it also frees everyone on my side of the gym. This allows it so it's a benefit for both teams, and when my team is unfortunate to lose a pin, we get a bit of an advantage where all of our teammates get to stand back up to protect whatever pins we have remaining. Again, this keeps the game engaging, interesting, and accessible for all, and really limits that downtime, that boring time, and that inactive time for players. It also adds in an element of strategy because my team is actually allowed to down our own pin if we need to. So let's say we were playing with 2 doctors and both of our doctors were down and most of our team was down and I was one of the only players remaining. I can choose to knock over one of my own pins in order to rescue my own team. Now, of course, I couldn't down it if it was the last pin because then my team would lose. But if we had 3 pins left or 2 pins left, I can knock one over as a bit of a lifeline to save the rest of my team. Aside from that, you just got to establish your typical dodgeball rules on catches, bounces, blocks, all that kind of stuff, and you should be good to go. Alright everyone, so that about does it for pin dodgeball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to hit that subscribe button down there. Sign up for notifications to be the first to see my weekly content. Like and share away. You know I love hearing from you in the comments below as well. And of course, feel free to check out the video description for more links on dodgeball games like pin dodgeball and other ways that you can keep your students active, engaged in your phys ed class or in your leadership context. But for now, this is Mr. Pratt signing off from Pin Dodgeball.
And now it's time for Pratt's Playbook, a unique perspective from Mr. Pratt on modifications, additional gameplay considerations, and more.
There are occasions where I also place a hula hoop around each pin as a border or a boundary that no student is allowed to enter. Another added factor with the hula hoop is that rolling balls often won't be able to contact the pin. So if you want students working on contacting the pins with a throw in the air, in mid-air, you might want to add that in. But if you're working on rolling or allowing bounce shots to count, then you might want to take that hula hoop out, as it's more likely to hit the pin without the hula hoop there. When I play pin dodgeball, I only allow one student from each team to guard a pin at a time. And if you choose to use the hula hoop boundary, the students are not allowed to enter that hula hoop. They must stay about one step away from the pin at all times. Another beauty of pin dodgeball is it can actually be modified to take the dodgeball element completely out and just be done as a target throwing game. So if you're working with maybe younger students or less experienced students, or you're worried about injuries and you don't want dodgeball in your class, pin dodgeball can actually be modified to take out the dodgeball element entirely and just as a target throwing game where my team is trying to knock over the 3 pins before the opposing team knocks over ours. This allows you to work on things like overhand throws, 2-hand underhand rolls, 1-hand underhand rolls, bounce shots. You could be using hockey sticks, shooting hockey pucks or hockey balls, lacrosse sticks, working on those shovel passes or roll passes. It gives you a whole bunch of different options and varieties for how you can make this game and this same setup work in a variety of different ways.